Truman's decision to use the atomic bomb on Japan was a crucial turning point, and without it, history would not be the same. August 6th marks the 64th year since the bombing of Hiroshima, Japan, at the end of World War II. Hiroshima was targeted by the military because of its terrain. It would be easier to assess the aftermath. Hiroshima was home to more than 250,000 Japanese citizens at the time of the bombing. Early on the morning of the bombing, a U.S. B-29 Superfortress bomber called Enola Gay took off from the island. That plane was carrying an 8,900-pound uranium bomb codenamed Little Boy. At 8:15 in the morning, Little Boy was dropped from over 9,000 feet high. The bomb was free-falling for about 25 seconds until a complicated series of nuclear fission triggers set off at about 2,000 feet above the ground. At the moment of detonation, a small explosive initiated a supercritical mass in 141 pounds of uranium. Of that 141 pounds of uranium, only 1.5 pounds underwent fission, and of that mass, only 600 milligrams was converted into energy. That energy seared everything in a few miles radius. It also flattened the city with a large shockwave, set off a raging firestorm, and bathed every living thing with deadly radiation. Supposedly, 70,000 people died on the spot, and 70,000 others dying of injuries and radiation by 1950. Today, Hiroshima houses a peace memorial located by Ground Zero trying to prevent the use of nuclear weapons. Nagasaki suffered the same fate as Hiroshima. Nagasaki was not America's primary target. America was actually going to bomb Kuroko. As Enola Gay had an uneventful trip to Hiroshima, the same cannot be said for Boxcar. Boxcar was a plane used for the bombing at Nagasaki. Both Boxcar and Enola Gay were U.S. B-29 Superfortress bombers. The team of Boxcar gathered at 3:40 a.m. and were ready for takeoff, although Boxcar's head pilot had found a problem mid-flight with the plane. One of the plane's oil tanks had not been working. The atomic bomb carried by Enola Gay, the one to bomb Hiroshima, differed from the one carried by Boxcar. This bomb was called Fat Man. This bomb had a circle of 64 detonators that would drive plutonium together, which would cause the explosion. Fat Man was about 10 feet 6 inches long and weighed about 10,000 pounds. It had the explosive capacity of 20,000 tons of high explosives. By the time Boxcar finally got to its primary target, the weather had saved the city. It was covered by a giant cloud. Boxcar's head pilot circled the city 3 times to try to find an opening. Unable to find one, they had to act fast because of the fuel problem. They did not have enough fuel to fly back to Titan, so they had to land in Altiwana. The weapon experts there said a Radar 1 would not be allowed because it required more fuel and they were unable to fix the tank. So, they head back up to Nagasaki. Most of the run was radar until the last few minutes when they used the bomb aimer. They targeted a track at 2,900 feet and Fat Man was dropped. Nagasaki has been targeted in the past, but those were just threats, so people became blasé when the air raid siren had went off. The irony was, Nagasaki was well equipped with great bomb shelters and holes in the mountains, and much less people would have gotten injured if the air siren was listened to. Fat Man was a very effective bomb. Its blast radius was bigger than Little Boy's. Although, because of Nagasaki's natural topography, the impact was reduced to the city. Similar to Hiroshima, anything that was in a 2 to 3 mile radius was destroyed, and once again, any living thing was bathed with radiation. But different than Hiroshima, the firestorm after the explosion did not occur. This actually saved a few lives, because many hospitals were able to be reached. Although a few people did see shelter. A survivor named Sadoko Moriyama said that after the explosion she saw 2 lizards crawl into the shelter, but then the realization hit her that it was actually a part of a human.
One of the most key issues to come out of the Second World War was why Truman decided to use the atomic bomb on Japan. To this day, there has been continuous debate over its implications and its use. This is just some of our thoughts on this interesting and complex question. People today who question Truman's motives are known as revisionists. They are called that because they are trying to revise Truman's real reason to use the bombs. Many historians say that the orthodox reason for dropping the bombs on Japan was to end the war as quickly as possible. A historian whose name was Alonzo Hamby has gone so far as suggesting that it was Truman's experience with the American Expeditionary Force in the First World War. He was an artillery officer. Many say that this is why he used the bombs. Some of these revisionists also say that a possible reason for the bombing was because it would be the way the least amount of lives would be taken. This seems to possibly be true because a normal raid would also risk the lives as many Americans as it would Japanese. Although the bombing not took much under 280,000 lives, some historians say that this also accomplished more than a normal agreement for surrender. Not only did the Japanese surrender because of the bombings, it also punished them for what they did at Pearl Harbor. Before Pearl Harbor, America was at a point of isolationism until they found it was necessary to join the war, which was after the attack at Pearl Harbor. Other revisionists say that he used the bombs because he wanted to show that we were the world's most powerful nation. This showed the whole world America's true power. Today, many scientists say the reason the bombs were dropped because scientists wanted to see the devastation of a very powerful bomb in a highly populated city. Scientists were very pleased when they saw the results. One of the most interesting reasons we found was that Russia was already planning to invade Japan, but to save the lives of our allies, we decided to use the atomic bomb. This turning point had many positive and negative effects. This point in history had changed many lives. Some of these positive effects may include that bombs have not been used in war since the bombing in Japan. A negative effect would be that many other nations want to use nuclear bombs to protect themselves. Another positive effect is that they did end the war, although they could have found a less destructive way, which can be considered a negative effect.
Some other positive effects may include that it did save many lives of American and Japanese. On the other hand, the bombs did kill civilians, which is negative, but that is just known as total war, which is an excellent strategy in desperate situations. The atomic bomb also caused less casualties as compared to if the war continued. Many people say that a positive effect is that after showing what Japan we can do, we have become a more powerful nation, and that less nations have chosen to threaten us. And to end, I would like to say a quote that was said by Harry Truman that I think relates to our topic. A pessimist is one who makes difficulties of his opportunities, and an optimist is one who makes opportunities of his difficulties.